So one of the easiest ways I have found to structure a meal plan is to decide roughly how many calories a day you're wanting to consume. So for this example I'm going to give you, we're just going to start with a 2,000 calorie meal plan, 2,000 calories a day. You can divide those macros into percentages. So let's say you have 2,000 calories. So 2,000 calories needs to come from a mixture of proteins, carbs, and fats. What I have here is a 30, 40, 30 split. So 30% of our 2,000 calories are going to come from protein. 40% of our 2,000 calories are going to come from carbs. And 30% of our 2,000 calories are going to come from fat. Now keep in mind, 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. So if we're going to do 30% of 2,000 calories for protein, that's going to be 600 calories. 600 calories, we're going to divide that by 4 calories because per gram of protein there is 4 calories. So that is going to mean that we are going to have 150 grams of protein. That is going to be our target number for a 2,000 calorie meal plan in a 30, 40, 30 split. 40% is going to come from carbs. So 40% of carbs, or 40% of 2,000 is 800. 800 divided by 4 is 200. So we're going to have 200 grams of carbs. 30% is going to come from fat. So that's going to be 600 calories. We're going to divide that by 9 calories per gram. It's going to leave us with 67 grams of fat. So with a 2,000 calorie meal plan, if you did a 30, 40, 30 split, which is not a bad starting place, I wouldn't think for most people, maybe like 40, 30, 30, maybe a little less carbs. It just depends on the person. Don't know. Not sure about you individually. Maybe you're perfectly fine with 200 grams of carbs. Not sure. But that's about what that would look like. So you'd be getting, your meals for the day would need to be comprised of 150 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, and 67 grams of fat. And then when you start building that, when you start putting that together, you got to figure out what food you're going to use and how much of each of those foods you need to use in order to make those numbers kind of work out. It takes some practice. It's not that easy if you've never done it. I would recommend just start with 1 meal a day. Try to, you can take those numbers, 150 grams protein, 200 grams, 67 grams of fat. You can take that and you could divide that by 3. And you could try to just figure out a meal that has a third of all those things in it. So 50 grams of proteins, 50 grams of protein, 66 grams of carbs, and 22 grams of fat or so. You can start there, just 1 meal. I mean, that's fine. Depending on your body type, also, I mean, that plays a different part in there as well. You have ectomorphs, which are going to be more thinner, taller, thinner, leaner folks. Generally speaking, that is an ectomorph. Recommendations for that body type is 25% protein, 55% carbs, 20% fats. Depending on your goals, I think that protein number should be higher. A mesomorph, which is going to be kind of in the middle, athletic body, considerable amount of lean muscle mass. Many explosive athletes like wrestlers and gymnasts are going to fit, more that criteria. Tend to be testosterone and growth hormone dominant. But that's going to be 30, 40, 30. 30% protein, 40% carb, 30% fat. An endomorph, which is going to be, kind of like the people that you may say are big boned or just larger folks naturally. Their recommended macro splits would be 35% protein, 25% carbs, and 40% fats. Now those are just basic guidelines. It gives you a starting point. That's not hard numbers. That's not exact. It's just to give you somewhere to start. You can really split that however you want. Recommendations personally, I mean, if you're going to be just eating healthier, not really going to be in the gym all the time or anything like that, at least half a gram of protein per like lean pound of muscle, like lean body mass. I stick closer. I weigh about 205, and I usually eat somewhere around 200 to 220 a day. So I try to stay closer to like the 1.2 range per pound. But it gives you a starting point. That's going to give you a starting point. That's all it does. Because like until you actually get started on a plan and you're tracking how much protein you're getting, how many carbs you're getting, how many fats you're getting, also figuring out how much exercise you're going to do, until you kind of see where you stand. You know, you do something for 3 or 4 weeks and you've lost 2 pounds, you kind of get an idea of what kind of deficit you're in, or if you've gained a pound. You know, so then you can start tweaking the numbers, lowering your caloric intake a little bit, moving up on that, you know, exercise level. And it's just some place to start. That's what we're doing now. You know, and then once you have all these things buttoned up and in line, then you can start to make changes in all those things. But it's really, you just want to try to get some sort of foundation built. That way you're not really micromanaging or macromanaging, you know, your diet to death. In the beginning, that comes later, and it's really not that important unless you're really trying to be, you know, like a physique competitor or something like that. For general health, I mean, it's just a good, you know, good starting point for that. So.